We do, and that goes back to last year's playoffs. They were so critical in our success. The He's got this maturity in his game that makes you have a very high expectation of what every game's going to look like, and every once in a while you have to. He's still young, he's still learning, but he's got a great. He's fortunate to be here as well as we're lucky to have him. But he's got just great mentors ahead of him, completely different styles of center and Sam Bennett, but Barkov, a countryman, somebody that he can certainly see as a mentor, doesn't cheat the game. So your number one center is about as honest as the day is long, and on both sides of the puck. To have a young player then in a contract year, and at this age they get paid for points. They just do. To not chase that and stay honest with the game and the game that we're trying to play is a great thing to learn at a young age. It's hard to teach from a coach's point of view. It is player to player. And he is really fortunate to have so many good people around him to teach him the right way to play, and I think he's accepted that. I also feel he went through at the start of the year what a lot of it is, not even just young, almost all players that are in that year, they come into this, they want to have he had a great year last year, it's just going to be twice as good next year, and then the puck drops and the game hasn't gotten any easier for you. So he's gone through that learning curve. I think there's something, we all have always liked Luostarinen and Lundell together because we've seen it work so very well, but something's happened with Rodriguez going there. And you can see it even in practice. They move very, very quickly. They can make plays at speed, and we like that line. Like they when you're on the road, those lines will get tested because the other coach will, they try to check Barkov for a while or Bennett for a while, and then if we get ahead of them, they're going to start sending Crosby or Thompson or Point out on the bench on your third line, and that was kind of a secret weapon for us last year in the playoffs because with Reinhardt there, they were pretty darn good as young players. It was Luostarinen first year off the fourth line and Lundell's second year in the league. So I would understand why the other coach would look at that line and say, we got to get to those guys, but you couldn't. So there's something there for sure. And his growth has been, I think, steady is a fair way to put it.
You like talking about pairing these guys up in duos when talking about your line combinations. And yesterday, the one that not yesterday, but last game.
I'm with you.
Yeah, the one that stood out the most was Bennett and Tkachuk. I mean, what works when those guys are grinding it down and getting points like that, like they did in the Tampa game?
Yeah. They each do for each other. They complement what the other player doesn't have. So Matthew doesn't have blinding speed, but Sam Bennett can get through the middle of the ice very fast. He's very explosive and open that ice. That will pull people off him. And Matthew will draw people to him as well. So neither one of them gets to a puck late or is afraid to go to a corner. They are good in the heavy areas, in the banging areas. They can still play the game and create, but I feel they both have a synergy there. We've always thought that Matthew would play well with Barkov. That would be a good pair too, and because Barkov's speed, opening up the ice and could make plays. But he and Sam that combination has been a really important part of our team. It's allowed us not to have to play Barkov with them. So we're harder to check for sure, which is in case in point the Tampa game. A really effective checking line with Cirelli on it, and they played them against Barkov, and it was effective the whole game, and that allowed Bennett's line to play a more of an unchecked game and score a bunch.
And you've got Cousins on that line.
Yeah.
What does he add? Because that's one that kind of pops off the page if you don't follow
Yeah,
this team.
because for last year it was just balance. I think when he went there, it was the idea that we could have almost pure speed with Verhaeghe, Barkov, and Duclair, and then we had that sneaky checking line, right? And then these guys just fit. He can make a play. He can hold on to pucks, and he's also very good in the corners with the puck behind the net, willing to get to the front of the net. So they have a style. They will close support a puck. Anything from the back of the net to that right corner, Matthew kind of owns that area for them, so they can put it there and move. Nick's a smart. He's actually got very good offensive skills, and he has a skill set to be on the power play. Just we don't have room for it. Ours is full right now, but he has those hands to be able to do that. And they're going to need somebody to control the puck for them. No, they can't hang on to just the two of them the whole night. So he can control the puck in a corner.
You got power play 3.
They're rolling. Power play 3's on a roll.
Tomorrow you've got Ottawa, have had some heated sessions with the
Yeah.
Sens and, you know.
Yeah,
How does that carry, is that just the style of play that the two of you kind of collide, or is it as simple as it's the Tkachuk Bowl?
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I think it's speed and collisions. Really, they're a fast team. They finish all their checks for a young team. I think their previous coach, DJ Smith, would have instilled that in. That was the style of hockey that he had that team playing. I think they'll continue to. It's in some of their DNA. They skate very well. It is a good hockey team, right? And I have no idea why they're in the situation they're in, because I don't watch them play enough. We pre-scout just beforehand. You watch them; they got all the kinds of speed and skill, and they play hard, and they're back in. They've had some unfortunate injuries on their blue line, which hurts every team, and then they came back now. So they're going to be their season that they got a tough one, right? I think they're probably about 10 out. Is that? I'm not sure. I rarely look at the standings, but they're more dangerous now, right? Because they don't have the same risk profile as you do. That you can't give one up, because it could cost you your season. That those teams carry a completely different weight into a game, but they also have this. Those teams have a great intensity for the game, and these guys will too. They're going to play hard, but they're dangerous. They're like Buffalo. They've got a high skill level. They move very, very quickly, and if they're on and they're making those plays, you see a game like LA and Buffalo. Buffalo puts up 7 on them, and that they're capable of doing that. So every time you come to the rink, George, you know what? You got a set of challenges. And it's just, rarely is it, hey, your team's better than the other. That rarely is the challenge that you're facing. Our challenge is we just scored 9 goals. That's a challenge. You can see it in practice a little bit today. Human nature. They worked hard. We had a lot more pucks that we didn't get through at the offensive blue line on our rushes today. Completely normal. As long as that doesn't cut into our game tomorrow night, we're fine with that. So what they were asked to do today in practice was get up and down the ice as fast as they can. But you know when you put up 9, there's going to be some toe dragging going on out there. It's fine. It just can't come into our game tomorrow. So that's our set of challenges, is to get back into the hard part, back into the mud, as we like to say. And Ottawa likes that kind of game too. So it's probably going to be pretty physical and pretty fast.
The fourth line, they'll get in the corners, they'll finish their hits. You have no problem putting them against top pairings, top lines. When you guys evaluate in the offseason what you want going into the playoffs in terms of a depth checking line, a depth hard playing line, is this what you envision with Gadjevich, Lomberg, Stenley, Lockwood, whoever?
Well, it would be what we would have hoped for. The starting point was penalty killing. We needed to make our penalty kill better than last year. It was a weakness for us. So Stenlund comes in, and we go the first kind of 3 months finding wings for him. But so much of that's just based on injury, because as soon as somebody got hurt, he'd lose a winger. And then they all got healthy at kind of the same time. They got on the forecheck. So our team game changed a little bit here in the last 5 or 6 games. We're a much heavier forechecking team now, and that's just built right into their wheelhouse. So they get some success. There really should be no reason why we get out on the road. You're going to see that matchup more. They're going to get icings, or they'll look for them, because we've had leads in games. So they're going to start looking for your third and fourth line with Crosby, Thompson, Point. Those lines are coming out against them. And I've left them because they've played so well. One, I want to see it, but I also want them to know, play the shift. Right, get it done, and you can see their energy come up. But their game has been good. Like both Lundell's line and Stenlund's line have been on the majority of the video that we showed between games. Not because I'm being nice to them, because technically it's right on. Right, they're dialed in. The Stenlund goal the other day was a great support breakout to the other side to a hard rim route, perfectly executed by Lomberg, and Stenlund takes it into the hole and scores. So that's the kind of stuff that they can be very proficient in. I think Ryan Lomberg has 20 hits over his last 2 games. He's not necessarily playing more intensely. Like, he wasn't not playing intensely early in the year. The 2 guys that he's playing with are putting him in a position that he can finish checks more. Pucks go deep. They go deep with speed. We can get to the hits. So now they're kind of looking at each other on the bench going, hey, we can do something here. We've got a little line chemistry. But I know I am trying to come back to the question that you asked me. It would be a little clairvoyant to say that it would get to this for me to have said at the start of the year. It's what we would hope for. We hope for a line with an identity. We're not even saying that this line should have this particular identity. You just need three guys to say, we're going to be consistent with a single style of game. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's line, but this is what we're going to do consistently. And if we can get to that pattern game after game, then they're very, very effective as a physical line.
Reinhardt's always scored goals.
Right.
What's different this year with him? Or is it, some guys have career years and where things go, or has he, who he playing with, has he figured something out?
Yeah. Rarely would it be one thing. You wouldn't have the expectation that he should be able to score at the rate that he's scoring when he's playing in a three-hole with Lundell and Lustrand. It's not a knock against those guys. The one guy's in his second year, the other guy's in his first year on line, and he's so smart. He hits the ice with those three guys. He's not thinking, "Hey, we're going to generate 3 chances this shift." He's going, "Hey, they just put Tavares on the ice. We got to shut this thing down." So he will completely submit himself to the team. Then he'd always thought that he and Barkov would fit, but it hadn't, and then this year it did. Some of that is Barkov's quite a bit faster this year than he was for me in any year prior. He's into holes quicker. He's got a pace to his game that opens up a little bit more. Any of these guys, it's not just Sam Reinhart, but any of the elite shooters, passers, point producers need is about 3 or 4 inches of ice to get it done. And when you're just a little bit faster, that presents itself. So he is the benefactor of some really good things that happen around him a little bit. He's playing more minutes now, but he's capable of playing more minutes. He's playing, the power play is working at a higher level than it has in the past, and he came to camp and phenomenal. He's always a very fit man, but he clearly had pushed himself this year to take advantage of the opportunity that he was going to get.
We see Aaron out there, everything okay? Everything good?
Should be great. We'll make the final decision tomorrow, assuming he has to kind of get through a sleep cycle and come up and make sure that he feels as good today. But he had announced today that he was playing and he wouldn't wear the gold. So that's usually the right. You want the guy saying he won't wear the gold, and the trainer saying okay, obviously.
Not that tomorrow's this game, but you have a chance to tie, I guess, the now road record for wins. What is that?
Like the Carolina game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So it wasn't
Okay.
tomorrow's game, but I'm just
Sorry.
curious. What does it mean, if anything? Is it something to keep interest in the regular season, or does it mean something more than that?
Feels a little bit less, to be honest with you. We've had some pretty good runs, and they've been around breaks. Right? We kind of had 9, but we had beat Vegas to start that run we went on. And then we had the 7-day break in between winning some games, but we lost to Philly. So I got asked the question, when was your last road loss? But we had just been kind of talking about not so much road losses, but where our season's turned a little bit, when we've kind of hit the uptick. And that last loss in Calgary was the loss, then we lost at home to St. Louis, and that would be a low point. And then we took off and we were a good team. So it doesn't feel connected. If you played 9 or whatever the number is going to be, 10, 11 straight road games, and you went on that run and it wasn't broke, you'd go, oh, yeah, man, we're on a run. But because it doesn't feel like that, it's good, better than the other kind of record.
So, goalie tomorrow?
Sergei plays tomorrow. Yeah, we were, instead of, so there's a tug, and this is a positive thing. Sergei also feels he needs to play a certain number of games in a row to stay in a rhythm. And sometimes it's better to do that in a lighter schedule, because you can play him more games and get him rest at the same time, and then you get into your heavier schedule and you just sub him out. But so he doesn't notice the lack of rhythm in a heavier schedule, because he's still getting 2.5 to 3 games a week, because you're playing so many. So we have 3 4-game weeks coming up, and then we've got a 4-day break in there, like we needed. And then, so we've got a bit of an unusual schedule coming up. It's not just about rest all the time. sometimes it's he needs a certain number of games to feel like he's in a rhythm and he can keep going, so that when we get to the point of the heavy schedule, he keeps going, but he doesn't play as much and doesn't notice it. I don't do any of that, thank God. I got a guy that handles that.
It's nice though that you don't really have to think much because they've both been playing so well.
For sure.
Plugged in.
Oh, I can tell you, I've had years where a major part of your day was spent on who was playing goal the next day, and how do we get this guy going, and then not having an answer for it's a painful thing. Like, well, we got to get him going, but he's not playing well enough to get in the net, and you've got two kind of stalled cars, right? And one of them you got to take out in the track and you got to blow it out, and but if you're wrong on the one you pick, you're down the track and you got a problem, right? It's over. So having two guys that have played as well as our two, it just completely removes a major concern during your day. We don't even talk about it, right? We just, okay, who's next?
Great, thanks everyone.
Okay,
Thank you
guys.
so much.